Oi oi my drillers, it's your geezer BigDonnyCal here, and today is my guide for the Destruction Warlock in TBC, both covering Fire Destro and Shadow Destro. But oh wait, over 80% of you guys are not subscribed, and if you want these cute animals to eat this month, then I suggest that you go and hit that subscribe button. Anyway, it's free, why wouldn't you? So, on to the Destruction Warlock. The first thing I'm going to cover here, guys, is talents. So, what sort of talents are we looking at? Well, we want 0 points in Affliction, we want 21 points in Demonology, and 40 points into Destruction. The Demonology points we want to be taken is 2 points in Improved Health Stone, so we get more health from our health stones. 5 points in Demonic Embrace, this increases our stamina, but reduces our total spirit. The stamina increase is very good, as it will mean we can do more life taps in a raid. Fell Intellect will increase the intellect of our pets by 15%, but most importantly, increases our maximum mana by 3%. The next we want is Fell Domination, just in case we need to quickly resummon a pet, which rarely happens with this build. Fell Stamina, which will increase the stamina of your pets, but more importantly, increases your maximum health by 3%. Demonic Aegis will increase the effectiveness of your Demon Armor and Fell Armor spells by 30%. We want this more for the Fell Armor. Master Summoner, reduce the casting time of your Imp, Voidwalker, Succubus, and Felguard summoning spells by 4 seconds, and the mana cost by 40%, which doesn't really matter, it's just useful to have, and you've got to pick talents here anyway. Unholy Power, we put 1 point in just in case we need to have a pet out, and this is really useful in fights like Maiden, where you might need to have your Fell Hunter out just to help with the dispels. So yeah, we have 1 point in, so it increases damage by 4%. Then what we really want is Demonic Sacrifice. Now, as a Shadow Destro, we want to be sacrificing our Succubus, which increases our shadow damage by 15%. And we also want to be doing this in any of other Destro spec when we need to AoE with Seed of Corruption. As a Fire Destruction Warlock, we want to be sacrificing our Imp to increase our fire damage by 15%. Now, onto the Destruction talent. The first points, we want to put 5 points into Improved Shadow Bolt if we are going with the Shadow Destro spec. For Fire Destruction, we want to be going 5 points into Cataclysm to reduce the mana cost of your destruction spells by 5%. Now, this is the only change that will happen between the two. Shadow Destro will use Improved Shadow Bolt, so that when you get Shadow Bolt crits, it increases your shadow damage by 20% on that target. Cataclysm we want to take for Fire Destro, as we won't be using Shadow Bolt, so we'll get no effect from Improved Shadow Bolt. So it's useful to have the mana cost reduction. Now, the rest is, well, everything, all talent-wise, is going to be the same across both Fire Destro and Shadow Destro. We now want to pick Bane, so it reduces the cast time of Shadow Bolt and Immolate by 0.5 seconds, and Soulfire by 2 seconds. We want to put 5 points into Bane. And then we want 5 points into Devastation, which increase the critical strike chance by your destruction spells by 5%, which goes hand in hand with Improved Shadow Bolt. Then we want to put 1 point into Shadow Burn, which is very useful for fights where we need mobility. Intensity is a talent we want to put 2 points into, which gives you a 70% chance to resist interruption caused by damage while casting or channeling any destruction spell, such as Hellfire or Rain of Fire, or anything like that. This is really good for AoE when you're being hit. Destructive Reach will increase the range of your destruction spells by 20%, which is really useful on fights like Prince Malchezaar, and it will also reduce the threat caused by destruction spells by 10%, which is just useful in general as a Destruction Warlock, as Warlocks have threat issues. So yeah, this is a must-have. Improved Immolate we want 5 points into, which increase the initial damage of your immolate spell by 25%. Very strong. Then we have Ruin, which increased the critical strike damage bonus of your destruction spells by 100%. Do note that it doesn't increase your crit by 100%, but increase your crit damage by 100%. Well, at least a bonus of it. So, say if you normally hit for 1600 and you crit for 2k, that doesn't mean you're going to crit for 4k now. It means you're going to hit, you're going to crit for 2.4k, as 2k take 1.6k is 400, and that damage is now increased by 100%. So now we have 800 additional damage from the crit. Ember Storm will increase the damage done by your fire spells by 10% and reduces the cast time of your Incinerate spell by 10%. Now, you may think it's more of a fire Destro spell, but it is still the go-to for Shadow Destro. It can be used globally. Then we want Backlash, increase your critical strike chance with spells by an additional 3% and gives you a 25% chance when hit by a physical attack to reduce the cast time of your next Shadow Bolt and Incinerate by 100%. Its effect lasts 8 seconds and will not recur more than once every 8 seconds. So basically it won't stack, but you will get an instant Shadow Bolt or Incinerate, whatever you choose. This is not something you're going to use much in raiding, because of course you won't really be taking melee hits. However, you will still benefit from the additional 3% critical strike chance on all spells. The next point we want to get is Conflagrate, which ignites a target and will do instant damage so long as that target has Immolate on them. This instant damage will also consume the Immolate spell that is on your target. The final talent we want to put 5 points into is Shadow and Flame, so that your Shadow Bolt and Incinerate spells gain an additional 20% of your bonus spell damage effects. Which, if I just no, you can see. I was going to hide the webcam, but you can still see the text at least. Do note that you don't want to put any points in Shadow Fury, and you won't have any points to put in Shadow Fury so long as you've followed this correctly. Alright, my drillers, just editing the video now, and after a bit of feedback on the last guide, I noticed that the camera being in the way is more of an issue than I thought it would be, so I thought I'd just drop the talents here so it's very clear for you to see. Just remember that if you are going to go Fire Destro though, you want to change that improved Shadow Bolt into the circled talent you see there. You want to put all 5 points into that instead of improved Shadow Bolt. And yeah, that's just going to be the bread and butter of the talents for your spec. Of course, I've already explained it, so yeah. And the next thing we're going to get into is our rotation. So the first thing we want to do is we want to use Demonic Aegis. Personally, I am running Shadow Destro right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to summon my Succubus after buffing with Fell Armor. Now that my Succubus is out, I'm going to use Demonic Sacrifice. This kills the pet and will now increase my shadow damage by 15%. Now I'm going to show you how it works on this level 71 Ogre. So the way it starts is we will curse a mob, cast Immolate, then we will spam Shadow Bolt. You can use Corruption as it will benefit from your shadow vulnerability generated from improved Shadow Bolt, but usually you won't. So here we're just gonna, oh sorry, I forgot to curse, which is a bit noobish of me, and I used the wrong curse to begin with. But yeah, we're just gonna Shadow Bolt here. We got a Backlash proc, which you could see up there, and we're just gonna kill him now, and boom. So yeah, that's basically how your rotation will work. You won't really get the instant casts in the middle of a raid. However, that Backlash proc will be very nice when in open world. Say if you need to farm soul shards, you could use the Backlash proc and then drain soul and get your soul shards easily. Now you may notice that Shadowburn and Conflagrate weren't in the regular rotation. That is because you want to be using these spells in a fight where you might need mobility, such as on Shade of Iran, where you have to run out of the arcane explosion, what you can do is, let's say this is Iran, when you get pulled in and you gotta run away during this arcane explosion, you can turn around, press conflagrate, which will consume your immolate, get to the edge, then reapply your immolate, and then that's just a little bit of extra damage you could get in through the fight. You can also use Shadow Burn. I'd recommend using this more when you have your Shadow Vulnerability debuff up on the target. However, if you consistently use Shadow Burn, like I did in tonight's raid, then you will lose out on soul shards very, very quickly. So you do need to be careful of using Shadow Burn. Now, as for curses you want to use, I'd advise you refer to my curse guide, which will be uploaded later on within the week, hopefully. Now, moving on to gear. Our most important stat, yet again, you'll find is the same across all the Warlock specs, is hit rating. As we've discussed earlier, the spell hit rating cap is 202. Make sure to go for spell hit rating and not regular hit rating, as that will have no effect for you. The next one we want to go for is spell power. So, as you see here, the last equip on our Voidheart gloves increases the damage and healing done by magical spells and effects by up to 35. That is spell power. We want to get as much of that as possible after we've gotten our full 202 spell hit rating. Then, after that, we want to be chasing spell critical strike. Spell critical strike will mean that we're going to see our shadow bolts, improved shadow bolts, shadow vulnerability debuff appearing far more often, which will allow for us to get more shadow vulnerability damage out. Now, one thing to note, if you are playing Shadow Destro, then you are going to need to farm a wand. However, if you decide to play Fire Destro, then what you can do is you can use your Create Firestone ability. This will make a Firestone. Let's just make one now and equip it quickly. Or if I just show you in my bags. So this is a relic that will go in your wand slot. And what it does is when you equip it, it enchants the main hand weapon with fire, granting each attack an additional chance to deal 116 to 174 additional fire damage, which you won't have happen often, because you won't be hitting with melee. I mean, I don't know if it affects fire spells, but I'm fairly certain this only affects melee. Don't quote me on that, though. If anyone knows specifically, put so in the comments below. Then the other effect you get is increases the damage done by fire spells and effects by up to 30, which is really strong. This means that when you're casting your Incinerate, it's going to be more damage. You cast your Immolate, more damage. So, yeah, you definitely want to go for this, especially if you're already hit capped and your wand is not providing any hit rating. Now, you may also be wondering, okay, you've shown me the Shadow Destro rotation. What do I do for Fire Destro? Well, if I just go and find a mob here, perfect, a caster. So I'm gonna open here, start off with an Immolate. We're then gonna go for an Incinerate, and we're just gonna spam Incinerates over using our Shadow Bolt. And yeah, it's that simple. Basically, Fire Destro will substitute Shadow Bolt out for Incinerate. And that really is that. You have no pet management, really. I think the only time you would use a pet is maybe on the Maiden fight. But aside from that, I have not had to summon a pet so far. And you may also benefit, if you don't want to use Seed of Corruption, you could run in with a Firestone equipped and use Hellfire. That will do pretty good AoE damage. I have managed to keep up with other Warlocks using Seed of Corruption by using Hellfire, so do know that it is an option. And yeah, that is it really. Pretty short and sweet, straight to the point. There's not as much to talk about destruction. It's got the simplest rotation out of all the warlock specs, and its time to shine will be far greater in tier 5 and tier 6. Demonology will be on top in this current tier, in tier 4, but Destro will get better. So for you Destro fans out there, just know that your spec is there for longevity. But that's all for the video. Hope you guys enjoyed. Please leave a like and comment, and take care everyone. See you in the next video. Ta-da!